it's a weird thing to talk about publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was devastating. It was devastating. Especially to my team. Like, I have some queer people who work for me and some young artists who work for me. And I really even felt in them like, oh, like I was attached to this rising star, and then, Yeah, it sucked. I feel like I let down so many people in my life. So yeah, it's hugely, hugely humiliating. Like my girlfriend, my future family.
Welcome back, friends. Today we are backstage at the Plus in my hometown of Eau Claire, which is how she spelt it, not me, with a hilarious stand-up comic. Her special Live in Chicago has over 1 million views on YouTube. You can also find her podcast, We're Having Gay Sex, on every major platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Welcome to the show, Ashley Gavin.
Thanks for having me. Did I spell it Eau Claire?
Yeah, I used it.
Where did I do that?
It's on like whatever your most recent post. 2 of them, I think, that have like your dates.
Oh, that was the editor. Blame him.
Yeah.
Don't blame me. I don't type that out.
I had to give it a little bit of because people always pronounce it wrong. Like often people say Eau Claire or E Claire.
Yeah.
It's Eau Claire.
Eau Claire.
Yeah.
No, I knew that. Claire is the easy part.
Yeah.
That was a typo. A typo.
Yeah, you blew it. So how can people protect themselves against identity theft?
A NordVPN, is that your sponsor?
No. You told me when we were messaging, you said you had some issues.
Yes.
What happened?
I lost my wallet, and now my global entry card is being used to try and hack into my stuff. It's been driving me crazy.
Did you like leave it after a show, or what happened?
I think it fell out of my pocket in a parking lot at a hotel, and the hotel called me and was like, hey, we have your wallet. And I was like, oh, great. Well, will you send it to me? And then they never sent it to me. And then I kept calling over and over again. And I think they were avoiding me because they knew someone on the staff took the wallet. So now I am not the right person to do this to. There will be a full feature-length film about how I went off the deep end trying to get my identity back.
Did they get into your social media or anything from that?
No, I'm very lucky. I have a pretty good tech background, so like all of my security stuff is pretty good. But they managed to get into my Delta account because here, listen to this, Delta, okay? They have a very weak security system where all you need is the ID. You send a photo of the ID and it'll reset the entire person. I probably shouldn't be saying this. Everyone's going to have their Delta Sky Miles hacked or whatever. So they've been just basically trying to use my miles, but it's not working. I think they figured out that this isn't going to pan out for them because it leaves a paper trail. Yeah. Is this interesting? I'm not sure that this is interesting, but
I think I don't know anybody who's had their identity stolen. At least
I wouldn't
not
say
someone
it's
who travels
stolen.
a lot.
I think there's an attempt, but
Sure.
I will find this person.
Okay, so how I normally start the show, if it's more interesting, is in your own words, who are you and what are you passionate about?
I'm a comic. What am I passionate about? I don't know. I don't know anymore. You're catching me in a weird part of my life where I'm like, if I could cash out, I probably would.
What would you do if you cashed out? Just move
no
to the
one
woods?
would ever see me again. Okay. I would be off the internet.
Sure.
I'd write bits and do occasional shows if I was really like, I gotta write this bit.
Yeah.
But I think I would be gone forever. I think I'd own a farm somewhere, and I'd learn how to live off my farm.
I was just watching that show Alone for the first time.
I've been watching that too. That's terrifying.
That's what's getting you into. So when did that trigger happen though? Because your comedy, you really came up online. Like
yeah.
Very notably online. Everyone's seeing your face everywhere, and a lot of things have happened. We'll get to some of it.
That's what happened. I got canceled.
Yeah, and so that's what flipped the trigger in your mind.
Oh
of
my
like
God,
you want to disappear.
Because when you and I try not to talk. I've tried not to talk about it anywhere but my own platforms for a really long time. But like I can't like care anymore because people hate me so much that there are people out there that hate me so much that I'm just like, I think I just have to accept that this is a part of my life now. It's been like 3 years and like they still hate me so much. Yeah. And there's still so many of them that I think this is just like a permanent part of my existence.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you like achieve a dream, which is very lucky and I feel very grateful and I did get very, very lucky, but then it can be just taken away like that. I think that puts into perspective like what you actually care about and what you feel in control of.
Okay.
Especially with the internet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like what am I passionate about? I really just like want to be happy. I love my girlfriend. I love my friends. I love my cats. I like spending time outside, you know, and I love comedy, but like, I don't know that I can like be passionate about something that like led to the destruction of my brain and my identity, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at a certain age, most people like to, I don't know, be a little more sedentary. They like to stay home.
Totally.
You know, like so how I got my start without going in a monologue about my stuff is
you can.
I opened a skateboard shop because I was a skateboarder my whole life. And so I had that for over 10 years here in town. And then during the pandemic, like you, started a podcast. Mine was slightly before, but that was like really when I started putting more energy into that. And it was a shift in my life of like at one point owning a skateboard shop was all I wanted to do for a long time. And then my kids got older and I just like didn't skateboard as much anymore. And my life just kind of shifted in a different direction where as cool as it was, I didn't really want to hang out with high school kids after school every day. You know what I mean?
That's always good to hear, especially right now.
Yeah. But I mean, it got to a point where I'm like, I don't feel like I really
finally a man publicly
and,
saying he doesn't want to hang out with high school kids anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And so in the show, it's starting to take off and it was just kind of like, oh, all of a sudden this is what I want to do now.
Yeah.
It shifted quite a bit.
That's very nice.
Yeah. And now my schedule outside of this, like I'm not hanging out with my kids playing video games because I'm hanging out with you. So you took that away.
I'm so sorry.
But generally speaking, the vast majority of my time is so flexible that I get to do the things that I want. Like me and my girlfriend are leaving on Sunday for a 7-day camping road trip because we can. We have that freedom. But comedy doesn't have that. Like you can, but
it depends. It depends how successful you are.
I'm sure, but I mean, as you get more successful, bigger and bigger opportunities come up too then, right? And
yeah,
so
but
it's
I'm not
hard
that
to
guy. I swear to I'm like I have like a number that if I hit it, and I think most people don't believe this about ambitious people, but file me under like formally ambitious.
Sure.
Like healed, you know, healed in a way. I think if I hit my number, you will see less and less of me.
What's your number?
Wow.
You can't say it.
No, I'm not doing that.
Somebody else told me 5 million. And
it's
that was
higher than than I'd like it to be, just simply because of the economy, living in New York City, wanting to.
Would you stay in New York City though?
Yeah. I mean, like realistically, yeah, because my girlfriend.
Sure.
Yeah, and I grew up there. I think the farmer life in my brain.
Yeah.
Probably won't actually pan out. I'll probably be like, why can't I get a soup at 2 a.m.? I want soup.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And you can really only do that in New York City. I need matzo ball soup right now at 2 a.m.
Sure. So have you kind of lost a little bit of your love then for writing comedy and just creating comedy, or just lost your love for traveling?
No, I think I've lost my love for comedy too, because when the internet exposes itself to you, when you like really understand how it works,
sure,
I think comedy is one of the art forms, comedy, journalism, things that are rooted in truth and point of view, I would say have sort of been destroyed by the internet. And it's harder to know how to A, make a difference, B, make a point, because you're constantly pandering to the thing that elevates you in the algorithm.
Yeah.
Usually that's rage, but for some people it's like or you're chasing something topical, and you kind of have to appeal to the people who feel that they dictate kind of your algorithm and where you pop up. And you know, there are some people who really enjoy that, and I think those are the people who are going to be the most successful. But me, whoever's in front of me, I want to be the contrarian to that group of people.
Okay.
Like that's the kind of comedy that I like to do. I like to subvert expectations. So if I'm in front of a group of gay people, you're never going to see me more homophobic. If I'm in front of a group of Republicans, I am going to rip those guys to shreds. Like whoever I'm in front of, I like the dance of discomfort with that crowd.
Okay.
And that's ultimately what didn't work about live performance for me for a little while, until I got canceled.
Yeah, but I mean, even outside of that particular
Everyone's
moment
gonna
in
think
time.
I was a woman.
No. I heard the story. I actually listened to a podcast that was so good that somebody interviewed you. I can't remember what it was called. Like
Oh, yeah. Mark Gagnon.
Yes, that was a really good interview.
Yeah,
I
he's
listened
a
to so many
fantastic interviewer and a great set also, just production value. Good
yeah,
job, Mark.
absolutely. No, that was awesome. And I listened to a lot of not good podcasts because I research people. I'm not talking about yours, but I before interviewing somebody, I look them up and look at other interviews. So I don't get to listen to podcasts I am a fan of usually. I'm just listening to
Mark's a good interviewer,
6 of them from random people, but I listened to that one and it was really good. And yeah, you went into the whole detail about it. But I guess based on listening to that interview, I kind of thought maybe you just learned from it, got thicker skin and moved on, but it sounds like you're still hanging on to it.
No, yeah. I mean, I got PTSD from the experience of gosh, I mean, a lot happened. So there were so many things that you could have gotten PTSD from.
Yeah.
There were safety issues. I had to hire security. I got death threats. My girlfriend got doxxed. They threatened to dox her family. I hadn't been talking to my mother at the time, and I had to call this is the first place I've talked about this, but I had to call my mother because my mother is such an incredibly private person that I had to ultimately just set aside all the things that I was kind of working through in therapy with my relationship with my mother, whom I love, by the way, and she's great. We've had our ups and downs for sure, but the way that I had to get back in touch with her after quite a long time was to be hey, I'm dealing with potentially a privacy leak, and I need you to make sure that you get any information that you can off the internet.
Yeah.
Unfollow me, all this stuff.
Sure.
That was tough.
Well, and to be clear, you didn't do anything criminal. It was an interaction with somebody at a show. You said things that you regretted. It just got out of hand a little bit. I don't even
ultimately, the regret is my lack of understanding around how she was interpreting it.
Sure.
Because in the moment, she was kind of smiling and engaging with me. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards she felt humiliated.
Sure.
And you never, ever, ever, ever want to humiliate anyone. And so tons of comics, I told her to kill herself. Tons of comics do this. It's kind of a borderline normal response to hecklers. My friend, I won't name who he was, literally posted about doing the identical thing on his story, and all these people had responded they deserved it. I'm glad they got kicked out of the show. And I was oh, white man does exactly the same thing that I do.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately about who your fans are.
Sure.
And the expectations that your brand creates for you.
Yeah.
My fans were not familiar with that side of comedy.
Because you grew so many fans not from them seeing your shows.
Right. From the internet.
Yeah.
And from being a lesbian.
Yeah, you're kind of championed by that group of people, so they looked at you in a different way. And then all of a sudden, when you didn't fulfill the expectations that they had.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, the part that I regret is not reading the situation properly. There's many things that I've incorporated into my shows to make sure this doesn't happen again, telling audience members what might go down if they interrupt the show. Yeah. All kinds of borderline consent sort of stuff, even though consent at a comedy show is quite easy to maintain because you can get up and leave the show at any time.
Yeah.
But despite that, I think, I have to accommodate the people that I have, and their expectations around that type of thing are higher. And that's not really fair, but that is the world that I live in.
Yeah.
And so I have to accommodate them, if I want to have a career working with this particular group of people. And I don't really have a choice. The algorithm gives you who it gives you. And that's why I think it's the destruction of comedy.
Yeah.
For me, comedy is you hear people that you disagree with and you're able to sit with it and laugh about it. And that's just not really a thing anymore that we do, period, in America.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to be hard on yourself, though, when it's something that was this wasn't scripted. This was just a riffing situation that happened. You do this however many nights a year for however many years, you're gonna have an interaction that doesn't work out periodically.
Totally. Yeah.
It just happens. I've even interviewed people where I'm after the fact, I'm I sucked during that interview. I totally misread that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then I don't have to edit that and show that to anybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't get called out. But I feel like that's bound to happen to kind of anybody. You just
It happens to tons of people in comedy. It happens all the time.
Did you
It's just not always recorded.
Man, yeah.
Sorry if that was such a massive bummer.
I was going to go in a totally different direction and first ask you what your favorite experience on a boat ever was, which I feel like we should get to something slightly lighthearted. So your comedy career, without telling the whole story, because we don't have time to do that because you do have a show tonight, and otherwise it would take a long time. Was it your first actual like full-time job as a comedian was on a boat?
Yeah. I mean, I had been doing colleges, but those were really whenever I could get them, and sometimes I couldn't get them.
You were still supplementing your income?
Yeah. So the first time where I was like, oh, I will never, if I keep this job, I will never have to worry, kind of,
Yeah, within reason.
to some degree,
Yeah.
was working on Carnival.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get hired for that? And you were the first openly gay comedian. Was that something that you even had a conversation about, or was it just like...
It didn't really occur to me till I was like getting the job, because they were like, hey, we're going to market all of your R-rated shows as X-rated as sort of a protection against your identity. Like, if anyone gets mad that we have this gay comedian, it's like, oh, it's X-rated.
Somehow it's more sexual because you're gay? Okay.
I think I mean, that's the homophobic implication.
Right, sure.
But the way I saw it, I was like, some of these people, this is their first time leaving the country.
Yeah.
Like, they don't necessarily interact with queer people. They don't go to big cities and go to queer bars and things like that. So the way I saw it was like, they want me to be here, and they know that there are going to be people in the audience who object to this, and they're doing what they have to do to protect me,
Yeah.
So it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me that much. What bothered me more was that I couldn't, for the first little bit at least, I couldn't say that I was gay on the PG shows, which was tough because other comics get to talk about dating on the PG shows.
Just about your life in general.
Yeah,
it's like kind of
yeah.
a big thing to omit.
You might say my wife or my husband or whatever, and I couldn't really say things like that, and I hated self-censoring. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize how much I would hate saying partner and they and all these things. I hated it.
But you stuck with it for a long time, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I made money.
Yeah, sure. Was it more or less pressure doing shows for people that didn't specifically sign up to come and see you? You just happened to be the entertainment that was there, versus when you had built this career up with this group of people that you knew loved you and came to see you, and maybe their expectations weren't realistic?
The show, they didn't overlap. Is that a loon?
Yeah.
I love that.
My kids' names are Lily and Luna, so I got a Lily and a Loon. Yeah.
The Carnival never overlapped with things kind of going well for me.
Yeah, it was way before.
Yeah, it was before.
But I'm just saying,
once I got used to it, once I got used to this audience that I like truly had never been exposed to, no matter how many clubs and colleges I did, like there's a saying that like cruises is where comedy like goes to die. Like it's like hack.
Okay.
And I didn't want to be hack. So it took me a while to appeal to these people. But once I figured out how to do it without sacrificing my own artistic integrity, it was fine. It was great.
So was the first like 24 shows just horrible?
The first cruise was awful. It was awful. And I remember like the guy who was the head of entertainment, who was so sad. He was like Serbian, and his wife was dying of cancer, and he had to be on this boat for 8 months. And I was like, this is hell. Like, this is Serbian by itself. That's generally not the most bubbly personality you're going to find. And then like on top of all of that, but he was the head of entertainment, which meant that he like ran all the games and kind of supervised the comedy shows and things like that. And I remember getting off stage and him being like, not good, like really
bad buyer's regret.
Really bad. And I called my mom, like crying, and those calls were very expensive because we were in the middle of the ocean, and so it had to be like a satellite call. It was like very, very bad, and my mom being like, just get off the boat, like just come home. And I was like, no, I need to make this work because this is my ticket to never having a day job again. And I don't know if I'm fully answering your question. And I mean, I would say that I was gay, and half of the crowd, 2/3 of the crowd would just get up and walk out.
Really?
Yeah.
Wild.
Depending on which cruise I was on.
Sure.
But the first one, they put me out of Galveston, Texas. And originally I was supposed to go to Charleston. And I remember talking to them, and they were like, Galveston, our comics tend to have the easiest time on Galveston's cruises. And I remember saying, I'm really not like your other comedians. I don't think you understand. Like, put me back out of Charleston.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times where the cruise is leaving is indicative of the population that's like going on
that
the
makes
cruise.
sense.
Charleston, there's people from a city,
Yeah.
Galveston's not really a city. I mean, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
Most people are like driving from rural parts of Texas.
It was very, very red.
Yes. Yeah. So, it was tough. It was really hard.
What ended up working though? Like, what did you do to shift where it did work? Because you found success on it.
I
Otherwise
actually
it wouldn't
have
keep
no
doing it.
idea. I think I just reached a point where I was like, I think I just earned a certain amount of confidence up there, and I started not taking shit from them. I think it's where I kind of developed some of my edge as a comic, because prior to that I was really like, be palatably gay, make them like you. And I think at a certain point I was just like, everyone's going to get up and walk out anyway. So I'm not going to try and accommodate shifting my material around or like rewriting jokes. I think I was just like, this is what you're going to hear. And I think some of that authenticity like helped a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
What's one positive memory if you have to look back
Oh
on
my God,
one
I actually
fond
really
memory
loved
from
it.
being on the boat?
Because some people came up to me and were like, hey, my niece is gay. Like, what can I do to be like a good ally to her?
Sure.
Like, because they literally don't know any other gay person. Like, I'm the gay person that they know, and they're like coming to me for that. So that was super cool. Stuff like that. I went on a day off. I went to like a beach club with a bunch of like fundamentalist Christian people, women who were homeschooling their children, and we like hung out for the day. And then and neither one of us really knew that the other, to them, I'm like probably like some sort of woke leftist extremist.
Sure.
And we hung out for a while before that was revealed to either of us. That was like awesome. That was really, really cool. And it was beautiful. It was in Cozumel, Mexico. So that was really nice. I had a man one morning come up to me and was like, I didn't walk out of your show because it would be disrespectful, but like your lifestyle is like an abomination. And I sat down and had breakfast with him. And after like probably half an hour of talking, he revealed that his brother had finally come out to him at like the age of 59.
Wow.
And I was like, well, that's why you stayed. Because something about this, you wanted to be there and understand something. And I have no idea what his relationship is like. But I remember the last big thing I said to him, I was like, your brother just wants you to love him. And he was like, I know. And I don't know if that impacted him. I have no fucking idea. But
sure.
that to me, that almost was more powerful than the work I do now.
Sure.
Even though it was smaller.
Yeah.
But
it was just more of like a direct thing. And I feel like because you're trapped on a boat together, it opens up the conversation of
totally.
Like, we otherwise wouldn't be sitting here, but because neither of us can really go far.
Yeah.
I guess
I'm going to see you later around. Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit more about the canceled thing before we're done with it. So I think anyone can kind of be canceled for almost anything. Honestly, I think I'll just stand up for Will Smith. I think the slap thing was like blown way out of proportion. Like he shouldn't have slapped a guy, but the fact that went as nuts as it did was a little bit like...
It's interesting because on my side of the internet, people were more against Chris Rock. And that terrified me.
Yeah. When it became as big of a thing as it was, I was like, Well, I mean, I thought he was out of hand, but like not enough for this to be an internationally talked about thing where he's banned from this, that, and whatever. Anyways, the point of what I'm saying is like nowadays with how much of your life is on the internet and how much is out there, it's pretty easy to take something out of context. And then not only that, but people do take things, edit them, and spin them in a way that's drastically different.
Yeah.
And even just through the news, and we won't go on a political rant, but like I will see both sides or two different versions of what has happened in the news, and they like really spin a different story where
It's
you're
very
like,
scary.
if you only saw this side, I could see why you believe this thing that's not true. And then I question about myself, how much of what did I
you
believe
should
is
be.
really true
You should be.
as well. But anyways, so about the cancellation thing, you got into it with this girl who was heckling you. You said kill yourself. And comedians say things that like in the moment, if you only heard that, it would seem kind of nutso. But based on the whole thing that was happening, it wasn't that crazy. But then what happened after the fact was that video got online, and then
the audio got online.
And then things got edited where it showed you saying things that weren't even to her.
Yeah.
And it got skewed to be further than what it was.
What like actually happened is I have a joke about the phrase yourself. It's during the beginning of the show, and basically it's almost like a trigger warning that I give the audience, because again, talking about my audience being young, being queer, looking up to me in a certain way, although that might sound arrogant, apologies if it does, not going to a lot of live comedy, yada yada yada. Also like consuming media in a fairly sanitized way. I think we forget that TikTok is a platform that runs on ads. Mm-hmm. It has to be sort of clean, and because it's short, it doesn't leave a lot of room for nuanced kind of conversations unless those are like performative.
Yeah.
So very sanitized platform, very clean. So when they get to the show, it can feel kind of crazy to them. It can feel they get nervous. So I used to do this opening, and it kind of talks about up phrases that you might hear during this show. And so I said, yourself is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
And I did a few jokes about just using that as a phrase. And so in the interaction with this audience member, she didn't know she was heckling.
Sure.
She thought she was helping. She was like kind of wooing and screaming.
Yeah.
And I had silently kind of shook my head and did a couple things, and then I was myself, and then she was shouting back. So we kind of like were going back and forth, and I think the audio makes it kind of sound like I lost my temper because you didn't have the context of the previous joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely was like, I need you to be quiet, but it was also like in the context of this previous joke.
Sure.
And then there were a couple other like crowd work moments that got edited in that she had nothing to do with.
Sure.
Just roasty. If you know my work, you know I'm pretty that's the other thing, is I'm pretty roasty. If you did not know my work and it just appeared to you in this audio clip, you'd be like, this woman's losing her mind. Like, she has an anger problem.
If they've seen your social media, a lot of things that are on there are crowd work with roasting.
Yes.
Like, they should know this about you.
Yeah. So, but that's the whole thing. And I offered her an apology and a refund as soon as I understood that she was upset. Because again, you never want to make anyone upset. That's the worst. You want everyone to have the best time ever. Even if they're heckling, you want them to have the best time ever.
Yeah, but that's an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah. But, so, and, because I'm mic'd and she's not, it just sort of sounds like I'm losing it at her. And, it was hard. It was really hard. And it's my responsibility as a comedian to have known that she was upset earlier. That's my biggest regret, is that I was not tapped into her experience as much as I thought I was.
That's really difficult to do. You have that many people, and I'm just saying, it's like if you pick out one thing out of every performance you've done to however many people were in each room every single time, it's like eventually you're going to have an interaction where you didn't pick up on the social cue in the way that you thought, or what, like things like that are going to happen eventually, like periodically. There's really nothing you can do to stop it 100%.
It's both. I agree with what you're saying, and I want to be the best at my job. I want to be really, really good at my job, and that's like part of my job. So a lot of it is like dancing on that line between like, how do I warn people appropriately? How do I know when someone's uncomfortable? Because I've gone on rants, like what I call them rants, you know, like Eddie Pepitone will rant, or, you know, Sam Kinison will rant. I like ranting. I think it's really fun to do on stage. I've ranted at people in the audience before, and they seem, to my knowledge, like it's gone well in the past. You put them online, they're in the comments, like, this was so funny.
Yeah.
But other people are like, this was mean.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So, that, I'm sure at the moment you're going through all of it, I like to call these oh shit moments, because you realize, like, oh shit, I really wish that didn't happen. I really wish I would have handled this differently. What's the most recent oh shit moment that you had?
I mean, nothing compares to that. That was like the most, honestly, that was like the most consequential moment of my entire life. Sure. It's very interesting to like look at your own life and look at a moment and be like, that was it. That was the most consequential thing I've ever done. Recently, oh shit moments. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you start talking to people and they opt in and you realize what they're saying. They're going to, you know, before they do, that they should not have spoken. Like, I spoke with a young lady who was dealing with a sexual harassment issue on her college campus. And she like told me all the details. She started telling me. And I was like, there's no way this is going online. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now I have to navigate.
This was during a show? During a
show.
Oh my God.
She volunteered for crowd work.
Yeah.
And I asked a couple times, I was like, are you sure you want to be talking about this? Because there were some jokes in there. It was funny, not the sexual harassment.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I imagine if that got leaked,
sure,
I could look like a monster, kind of, if it were edited in the correct way.
Did anxiety get worse after that now, of worrying about everything could possibly be taken?
Oh, yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I have PTSD, so my trigger is parts of my job.
Sure.
So it's interesting because a lot of the language around this is who's responsible for managing whose triggers.
Yeah.
When you opt into these conversations, what do you do when you get triggered?
Yeah, but people have different views on that.
Totally.
Some people are like, well, everybody is just so, I mean, the one side is like everybody's feelings get hurt from everything, so I should just say anything I want, which I don't agree with. And then you have the other side where they're like, you got to be really careful not to hurt anyone's feelings. And it's like, well, it's kind of impossible not to hurt anyone's feelings, but that doesn't mean that I should say anything that comes to mind either.
Right.
Each individual interaction is different, and you don't know all of these people necessarily. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's switch a little bit. So we do something here at the Plus. I shouldn't say we, Cullen does, where there's like a couple of rules that they spout off like right away, as in basically like shut up, laugh, or leave. Like that's pretty much what they say for the most part.
Yep.
If you had to say 3 pieces of advice for things that people should do and 3 things that people should not do when they go to live comedy, what
when they go to live comedy?
Yeah.
Don't speak if you don't want to be spoken to. And really look inward. Why do you want this attention? I don't know why someone would want attention. If I were sitting in the front row at a comedy show, you would not hear a peep out of me. But if you want the attention, really go inward and ask yourself why. Because I'd say for a lot of you, you just need to do an open mic.
Sure.
So for attending a live comedy show, I'd also say like trust the comedian. Like don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge the premise of a joke. Like allow this person to be on the ride with them, because your trust in them will make the joke go better.
Sure.
So if you're hearing something that you think, oh, I disagree with this, you might not by the end of the joke.
Yeah.
So just give your trust to that person for the moment. Trust is a part of comedy. It's an important ingredient in a comedy show is trust.
Sure.
Am I answering your question?
Yeah, one more either to do or not to do going to live comedy. So you said trust the comedian and where they're going.
Shut the fuck up if you don't want to be spoken to.
Yeah.
Google the comedian before you go. Sure. Make sure you like this person. It's funny because a lot of people go, I didn't want to spoil the show. And I'm like, oh, I know you really don't watch comedy because we keep our jokes hidden from you on purpose.
Yeah.
You know, so feel free to Google the comedian. It will not spoil the show unless the comedian is not really good at their job and they're doing material that they've already released. But for the most part, you're going to see new material. So Google it and see if it feels like something you want to be a part of.
So your show tonight has none of the material from your special?
None. No.
Wild. So let's talk about the special a little bit. For one, why'd you call it Live in Chicago? Besides, what did you film in Chicago? 'Cause
I
you're not
filmed
from
it in Chicago. I just
Why is that
wanted
the name, though?
I wanted to just make it clear that it's an evergreen special. I didn't want to make it timely in any way. I wanted it to stand up many, many years from now.
Because
So-
it took you 10 years almost before you made it. So you
Yeah,
got another
yeah.
10-year window.
Yeah, kind of. But I think more than anything, I was like coming to it like, this is my first special. This is an opportunity to show a broad audience all the different things I'm capable of doing. And I wanted it to feel evergreen and accessible and diverse in the types of topics that I was covering. I didn't want it to be the kind of thing where, you know, you go back and you kind of put off by the title, you know?
Sure. I was surprised that it like started with some 9/11 jokes. I was not expecting that, but I like looked you up and then I was like, oh, we gotta. So I
And
looked
what's
you
more
up.
evergreen?
Yeah, well, pretty much. But I told my girlfriend, I was like, we gotta watch this comedy special because I'm gonna be interviewing Ashley. This is gonna be sweet. So we turn it on, and that's what it starts with. And I'm like, wow, this was really not where I thought this was gonna go. But that was genius. The way that then it tied in. Yeah,
Thank you.
that was really good. But why didn't you do it in New York? Because you're from New York originally, and you still live there, right?
Yeah. I like Midwest audiences. I think they're
We're the
really
best.
fun. Yeah.
Sure.
They get really drunk. And my audiences don't get too drunk, which I'm very grateful for. I feel like I've shit on my fans a lot. I want to make clear that this sort of moment, my shows are incredible now. Since the silver lining of having lost a massive portion of my fan base is now the room feels more proportionately people who are invested in comedy and not just me or my queer identity.
Yeah.
So the shows rock now. Like every show rocks. And I'm so grateful for that. And it feels so different than it did a few years ago. But at the time I was like, I tend to do best in the Midwest. People tend to be a little looser. And I wanted to do it somewhere where I knew I could do a lot of shows. So I just picked Chicago because I was like, also it's a great comedy city. People are very comedy literate there.
How many takes did it take? Like, how many shows was that stitched together?
We did 3, and then the 4th one I did all crowd work because on the 3rd take I was like, that was it. So on the 4th I just did crowd work.
How long in the making was it? And like, do you remember the moment where you finally decided in your mind, like, it's time, I need to do this?
I don't.
Or was it somebody came to you and was like, hey, we really got to film something like this?
No. It was all me. No one is invested in my career except myself.
I have found that in general in life, if you think people are thinking about you, they aren't.
Yeah.
It's exclusively you in charge of everything.
So, gosh, I think I had just, what year?
This was 2 years ago it came out, right?
Yeah. 2023 it came out. Almost 3.
When you filmed it, was it before or after getting canceled?
Right before.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So the whole time while you're like I guess how long was it between when you filmed it and when it came out?
It came
Was
out
a
in
while?
April. I got canceled in June.
When did you film it?
We filmed it in February.
So
Chicago.
was there any thought that you had of like, should I just not release this right now? Should I just hold on?
It was
to
already out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a very interesting. It was so everything happened on top of each other, you know?
Sure.
It shows you, it's really like, it shows you how fast the internet moves.
I mean, you lost a ton of your fan base from one particular sector, but did you notice like a lot of momentum from other things from it? Because in general, anytime you get any notoriety, even if it's good or bad, right? It's that whole like Wolf of Wall Street talk of like anything is good.
No.
You didn't get anything positive from that?
Other than my audience becoming more concentrated.
Did you have
as
significantly
comedy
less
fans.
ticket sales all the time then?
75%.
Holy shit. Wow. Did you
Yeah,
have to...
I didn't talk about this for a long time because it's like embarrassing. It's like humiliating. And I did it to myself. Like, you know,
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to talk about publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was devastating. It was devastating. Especially to my team. Like, I have some queer people who work for me and some young artists who work for me. And I really even felt in them like, oh, like I was attached to this rising star. And then,
Yeah.
it sucked. I feel like I let down so many people in my life. So yeah, it's hugely, hugely humiliating. Like my girlfriend, my future family.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I being too honest?
No. I mean, there's positive negatives that come with everything. And unfortunately, people think like, oh, I just need to get attention online. And it's just going to be positive from every angle. And that's not necessarily true.
I think people think that cancellation's not real because you never hear again from the people whom it truly impacts.
Yeah.
And the men, sorry,
That's okay.
you can only be canceled by your fans, which means that in order to be canceled, you need to have fans who believe in cancellation.
Sure.
That's not typically men.
Yeah.
Men are typically quite forgiving with the activities that other men partake in.
Sure.
Women, not as much. Queer people, definitely not as much.
Yeah.
So the recovery rate, there's studies on this actually, because now I'm like an expert. Black women, queer women, they don't recover from cancellation. Women generally don't recover from cancellation. I think Kathy Griffin finally was making a little bit of a comeback, and then everyone got mad at her again. I don't know how that's going, but I mean,
just DM'd her. She didn't respond.
well, shout out Kathy. I don't know what they're doing to you, but I loved you. And I do love you. But I don't know. Maybe she did something horrible, but people were mad at her last time I checked.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, so I kind of kept my mouth shut, hoping this like kind of mythology of cancellation that you gain these other fans. But that's not really what happens. That's to women, at least, it doesn't happen.
Sure.
I have not come back from it hardly at all.
Sure.
I do a good job of like I have a nice career. The way I look at it is like, I was thoughtful enough in the creation of my career to hold on, but I'm significantly smaller than where I was, and I'm struggling to find my feet.
And you're just like, I guess it would be hard to see something like get to such a high peak where you expect the peak to go so much further.
I call it escape velocity. You see with comics on the internet,
Sure.
you get big enough that it kind of sends you into a self-sustaining orbit. Yeah. If you don't get there, if you don't achieve that velocity, you're still on that content machine.
Yeah.
And I talk about this with other comics who are more at that level where I'm at. And you can't stop. You have to like clip, because if you don't, people will forget about you.
Did you lose a lot of momentum on your podcast, like projects and stuff too?
Everything was roughly 75%.
Wow.
If you go back and look at like the views from a few years ago.
How are you able to continue to do that though, when you have so many people involved? Like with the podcast and stuff, like there's quite a few people that are involved.
I took a massive pay cut.
Wow.
I didn't fire anyone. The only thing that I cut back on that affected other people is I don't bring as many openers.
Sure.
I go more local. I try to find queer comics locally to open. But yeah, I would have loved to have been a day job for young queer. I'm gonna cry. No one gave me that when I was coming up. So to support a young queer comic would have been really cool if I could have had them be my, like, a couple of them come with me and pay them a yearly salary just to open it for me. Like, I would have loved that. That was really important to me. And I lost that.
I mean, hopefully the door's not closed forever. We just got to get another special that pops off. When's the next special? Are you working on a special?
I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, obviously, because I'm maimed and wounded and need more therapy and medication. Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I believe in YouTube and I believe in the long form content on YouTube. I'm not sure I believe in the special anymore as an art form.
Okay.
Unless you are operating at an extremely high level where, you can sell to Netflix. They'll pay you an appropriate amount of money. I'm sure you've heard about the deals.
Yeah.
They're pretty shitty
They're
for
awful.
a lower level comedian.
Yeah. If you can even get one with
if you
Netflix.
can even get one.
I mean, yeah, through Hulu or any of the other ones, it's not like you get your special and you're chilling.
Yeah. Very few people are in that position.
Yeah. So what do you think is then the 10 to 15 minute where it's like, hey, this is where the joke goes start to finish and everything in between, and put those out?
I don't really know. I mean, Josh Johnson, my friend Josh, he's doing an incredible job, but he's working topically. Every week he puts out a new 45 to an hour. Yeah. And it's not really an interest of mine. Like, I'm not super interested in
You don't have time to flesh it out either.
Yeah. Well, he's a genius, so he's able to do it. And he's also got this incredible memory and interest in the internet that I don't have. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do in a longer format, half an hour to 45 minutes, that I can put out regularly, and what that looks like.
Sure.
So I don't know yet. I have no idea. I'm clearly not well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm better than I was.
I would assume so. Yeah. Hey, we've all been through things. I haven't been through that. I went through a divorce and that almost took me out. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah. So this year, my New Year's resolution was to really understand how I feel about comedy and my drive to do comedy and what it means to me and why I'm making it, because I thought I knew and I was so attached to it and I was building it, and then I broke it. And when that happens, it is a lot to work through. Your job triggers you every day.
Yeah.
And I don't want to quit this job. So now I have to assess what kind of work I want to make and be okay failing and giving myself to it 100%. Yeah. And I just don't have answers for these questions. I'm still
Sure.
I have no idea.
Do you feel like you still have to fall back in love with it then? Is it
Maybe.
now just a...
And I love my girlfriend so much. I don't know how to love stand up now that I have someone who was with me through that.
Yeah. Especially when the job takes you away, right?
Yeah.
A safe space is at home. Every time you leave, all of a sudden it's not a safe space anymore.
She's everything to me. Yeah. And the idea of having a family with her, for me, stand-up is sort of weirdly, stand-up is the thing that I do that I want to be clear, I'm very grateful for where I am. I still have a great career.
Right.
Many people would want this career, but it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And because of the losses and keeping the employees on, I have to work a lot in order to kind of uphold the business model that I created. Who knows? Maybe I need to burn it all to the ground. But I just want to make money so that I can have time with her.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I want.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll get there. YouTube will get you there. You'll all of a sudden be
we
getting
hope.
the monthly paychecks and it'll be enough to live in New York City.
How many views do these typically get?
Yeah, they range 5,000, 20,000. I mean, it just depends.
A lot of people are going to see this.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe, hey, I had clips go crazy. I did 13 million last month. So maybe.
Whoa.
I know, it was nuts. It was sweet. It was the biggest social media wave I've ever caught. All right, let's
Congrats.
get to it. Thank you. I don't think you're being too negative. I think you're being very real and being open about something that you're going through that a lot of people don't understand because it's not talked about that much.
Yeah. I just don't want to be that guy. That guy that's I don't want to talk, but there's a person who booked something really big.
Yeah.
But they were only on it for 1 year. And we kind of all know this person because that's all they talked about. And it happened a long time ago.
Sure.
You don't want to be the uncle that blew out his knee playing football and would have been a pro.
Okay, to be fair, this happens all the time, though, of like, I interviewed this girl who's on Survivor a long time ago. She was on 3 seasons of it. Now she's like a TV host.
That's
and
cool.
We're good friends. She's awesome. She has a podcast in for Discover Wisconsin over in Madison. Andrea, what's up? She started my momentum online in the last few months. It's crazy. All of a sudden, I had like by far, so
Survivor people are committed.
So Survivor 50 was coming out. So anyways, I intentionally asked her, no, okay. She's just doing a bunch of hosting stuff, but I intentionally asked her about a bunch of Survivor questions, right? And then there was a bunch of people online being like, wow, she's still talking about Survivor? And I'm like, because I asked her about it. And I just interviewed people from Ink Master, that show, and they're also like, still talking about when they were on that show. And I'm like, well, I asked them directly about it. So like, that's my fault. That's not your fault. I brought it up. So okay. It's not your fault. Okay. So let's go to some more fun stuff. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
You roast people all the time. What's the funniest roast somebody did of you? You must have had some good clapbacks once in a while.
I don't participate in a lot of like, the crowd work style that I work in is definitely roasty, but I wouldn't say it's proper roast because there are like professionals. I mean, like, I know how to write a roast joke, but there are people who like, you know, Nikki Glaser, where you're like, oh, you're a master. Mm-hmm. Of me, it really sucks when the audience says something funnier than you've said. I mean, I can't think of something of me specifically, but I can think of a few moments. There was this one particular moment where I had a guy in the audience who was wearing goggles and I was kind of roasting him. And then I started talking about his date with this woman, and someone in the back went, better wear your goggles. And the room just frickin' erupted. And I was like, God, they're better than me.
They saw and you missed the opportunity.
I am nothing compared to the person who thought of the Lingus goggles joke in the back of the room.
I'm surprised you didn't think of it. Having a whole podcast about gay sex specifically.
I suck. This is what I'm saying. I suck.
I want to hear. So I get to have really fun experiences because of like this podcast. Like recently, again, I'm talking about myself, but I was so excited about this and I didn't get to tell anybody. I interviewed, and this episode's about to come out, one of the longer comic book artists at DC. And I didn't know at the time until I was reporting him that he was the one who designed the mask. Basically, like that character, he was the illustrator for the comic of that. Yeah. He's the reason it became famous, or a big portion of it. And then the reason the movie got made was because the comic had gotten so much attention. So anyways, I got to like watch The Mask with my girlfriend as like a research for work. It was so sick. So I go to this guy's place, go into his studio, and he has a drawing that's signed from 1998 of Batman that looks like The Mask. And I just make a comment like, dude, that's so sick, whatever that is. And so we're talking, we become friends because he's just like the nicest dude. Yeah. And he's like, I actually don't want that. You should take that. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, a friend of mine gave me that because he saw it on eBay. Like it was a commission I did in 1998. He saw it, gave it to me. And he's like, I have boxes and boxes and boxes of drawings. I'm not going to put it anywhere. You should take it.
Yeah. Wow. That's like, so nice.
Yeah, I'm going to take that. So I haven't framed it yet. It's like sitting in a little sleeve. Yeah.
The Mask was definitely like a queer awakening for me. Cameron Diaz in that movie. Holy shit, dude.
Did you know that was her first movie?
Yeah.
I watching it and it says introducing and I was like, this was how she became famous?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sick. So anyways, that being said, I'm sure you've gotten to have a lot of cool opportunities because of your show. You have a pinned post of you talking to JoJo Siwa, which how in the world did you get her? Hey, it's pinned on your thing. You can't hide.
My third night with this partner. I'm having the time of my life. Cut to the next day. My dad comes up to me and he's like, so you guys had fun last night? No. And he was like, last night you called me. No. So now I have a rule that no matter what, phones are away because I butt dialed my dad.
It's going to be brought up.
It's pinned because I'm like, this is a very clear advertisement of my podcast, and I think people will go and watch this particular clip just seeing JoJo. You know, she's a very she's a figure, you know. People are interested in her life, for better or for worse.
What's your favorite, if you had to share one story or memory of you with JoJo Siwa, whether it was on mic or not, what's the funniest story you have?
Well, she's actually like quite a confident, articulate, charming, sort of larger than life figure. She gets a lot of shit on the internet.
Yeah.
She's growing up on the internet. You know, I don't envy her. And she was really bright and interesting and confident. And yeah, I wish that I have no idea what's going on with her.
You guys don't text?
No, we don't. We don't. But my friend just was pals with her. And got her on my podcast. It was like the nicest thing that my friend did for me. But a lot of the stuff I think about is not that I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I had this opportunity, is often not really about like meeting celebrities, although it's like been very cool.
Sure.
I've met, you know, Hannah Gadsby came to my show at the Fringe, and now I don't know if I can call her a friend, but we're friendly for sure. And she did my other podcast, and that was really, really cool. That was really, really neat. You know, I get to hang out with Josh, which I think a lot of people would kill to do. But I think the stuff that like is the most fun is really meeting the people at the shows. And sometimes they recommend the restaurant that they work at, and you get to go and eat this really great food, and you weren't able to get a reservation. I didn't get to take them up on it, but someone offered me motorcycle driving lessons.
Sick.
That was like really, really cool. That's the kind of stuff that I really, really enjoy about doing comedy, is like meeting the people from an area. There's something about performing for a group of people that gives you so much more knowledge about the area than like walking around by yourself.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe, but it's like an immersive program for a cultural immersion program. It's very interesting, and I really love that. And
what's one specific story with a fan that was a really cool,
give
memorable
me
one?
a second.
Take your time.
When I was in Detroit, I got to go to I think it's the Detroit Museum of Art. I have to look up the name. I'm so sorry. And I got one of the guys who hangs paintings there at, you know, this huge museum. We're talking about paintings that weigh thousands of pounds, huge murals, huge frames, massive canvases. He showed me everywhere and how they installed the art. I love art. My mother's a painter. And I enjoy looking at art forms that have like almost nothing to do with performance art. It's like very nice because it's inspiring, but it's also, you don't compare, you don't despair. You're just like, get to enjoy this art. We went up and saw Frida Kahlo's husband.
I saw the Frida movie, so I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
He did some murals in the Detroit Museum of Art space. And we got to go into that space and see like the rafters where he was hanging from and painting, and like photos of him on those rafters with Frida in this like area where no one can go to. They had like a Kermit the Frog, like original Muppet that like you can't see in the museum, but you can see in the back of the museum. It was amazing. It was so cool. And there are so many people involved in making art that don't get their dues or their flowers or their praises ever.
The vast majority of people.
Yeah. And so that was a really, really cool experience. You know, looking at the holes in the wall and him being like, oh, we hung a thing. You can't even remember, but I know a lot of work went into it.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. I know you have to get ready for the show, so I guess I'll just ask a couple more questions. One, just to shout out some friends. I know you're not trying to push people to specials necessarily, but if you had to pick 3 specials for people to go check out on YouTube right now.
That's not what I meant. I just meant with my own work. Oh my God, there's like, I could name so many. One of my openers, Neil Rubenstein, his special, Have Some Dignity, I believe is the name of it. I love a lot of Ali Sadiq's work. I think his specials are really incredible. A lot of people have already watched them, you know, but they're really, really, really good. I'm trying to think of like a special that not so much specials, but I can just name a bunch of comedians that like people should know. I think Ruby Setnick is coming out with a special, young queer comic that you probably don't know about. She's fantastic. She opens for me all the time. Lizzie Cassidy, who opens for me, is going to be opening for me in Madison, has like a Don't Tell set out that you should go and watch. She's really, really great. Maddie Weiner is really, really great. Yeah, I'll leave those there.
Perfect. And then how can people follow you moving forward, and how can they support the things that you're doing? And as well, if they wanted to try to get a message to you and it's a positive one, where would you most likely see it? I was surprised you saw mine.
I read all my DMs on Instagram, all with an asterisk. Of course, I'm human. I miss some of them. But if you message me like 2 or 3 times on Instagram, I'm probably going to see it. So if you'd like to get in touch with me, that's the place to do it. If you Google Ashley Gavin, all of my things will come up. Don't message me on TikTok. I don't read the messages there. Message me on Instagram.
Perfect. Well, everyone go see the special if they haven't. Live in Chicago on YouTube at 1.1 million so far. And it's on your channel, right?
Yeah.
So you do make a little bit of money from it. So
I do, but not that much.
Yeah, but you can make another couple pennies from another person who
Go
watches
see
it.
people live. If you really want to support an artist, they're getting cents, less than a cent for your view, like a thousandth of a cent. So go watch someone live and sign up for their mailing list. If you really want to support a creator, give them your data.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Passion Pod. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you soon.